Welcome to my channel. This is an indication of some of the things that I cover on a regular basis in my videos. If you haven't already subscribed, please feel free to do so, and don't forget to click the little bell so that you'll get notified of future videos. Please feel free to share my videos on your social media, and I hope you enjoy the video which follows. Hello everybody. I'm going to make a cookie that has many names. It's from the Crosby's Molasses website, and it's just a very good molasses cookie basically, but you can read all those names that I put up there in the title. I think probably the more common one is the Pubnico soft molasses cookie. Pubnico is a town or village in Nova Scotia. Anyway, let's go over the ingredients here before I get started. It's 1 cup of white sugar, 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks of butter, a cup of fancy Crosby's molasses, 1 large egg, 4½ cups of all-purpose flour, which is 560 grams. I weighed mine, but a ½ cup of milk, 2 teaspoons of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon each of cloves, ginger, cinnamon, and salt, all in that little dish. So I'm going to begin by combining the dry ingredients here. Baking soda, and the spices and the salt. It seems like a lot of spice, I know, but this recipe will make 30 cookies according to the directions anyway. I never seem to get the exact same count. I guess that depends on what size cookies you make, but they will have a nice spice flavor, that's for sure. And now the next step is to cream the sugar and the butter together. So I'll get out the stand mixer. It's a cup of room temperature butter, 2 sticks, and a cup of white sugar. And this will just take several minutes until this has completely creamed together and turned into a lighter colored mixture. I'll bring you back at that point. Now that's a nice light color. Now you add the egg and the molasses. And I did my thing again where I sprayed the cup with that cooking oil spray. Makes the molasses run out a little better, but this is January. My house is not terribly warm in January, so it's cold molasses in January trying to get out of the cup, I guess, but I think that's pretty much all of it. See if I can get the rest with a spatula. See what kind of mess I can make. I think that's probably enough of it. And that just gets combined. I may have to scrape the sides down to get all the butter into it. Well, that combined quite well. Now you add the dry ingredients alternating with the milk. Try to put about at least 1/3 of the dry ingredients in. It's probably a bit more than 1/3, more than likely. scraped down, I guess, but another addition of the dry ingredients. I'll bring you back when I have this finished. Well, I think I have it mixed together well enough. Now it gets refrigerated for at least an hour or overnight. And in my case, I guess it's going to be overnight. I'll bake these in the morning. I have plastic wrap on this cutting board here. It did say if you thought the mixture was too, looking it off my fingers, good. The mixture was too loose to work with, you could add another quarter cup of flour. I didn't do that. It's going to be refrigerated with all that butter in it. It's going to get much firmer anyway when it comes out of the refrigerator. So. I'll show you my package here when I get finished. Well, not only will it firm up with all the butter in it, but in the morning when I roll it out, I'll be rolling it out in flour, so that'll add a little more flour anyway. I think that's firm enough. Time will tell. I'll see you in the morning when it's time to bake these. Well, good morning, everybody. This has been in the refrigerator overnight and is fairly firm. I hope firm enough because I don't have to knead it back with more flour in it. But we'll see what happens here. Yeah, it's quite solid. The recipe says to roll it out to roughly 1/4 of an inch thick. I don't know if I'll go that thin or not. I don't want them to burn in the oven. Well, it rolled out nicely. I'm certainly not going to get the 30 they thought you would get because I'm using a very large biscuit cutter, cookie cutter, whatever you want to call it. It's almost 4 inches. Getting things arranged here in the background. As you probably have already guessed, I don't have a very large kitchen. I think that probably is roughly 1/4 of an inch though. Well, there's tray number 1. I'm only getting 6 to a tray, so I think I'll be lucky if I get 18 or so out of this recipe, but then as I said, I'm using a very large cookie cutter. The oven is preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and they bake for 12 to 15 minutes, so I'll definitely check them at 12. I don't want them to burn. Well, there's the first tray out of the oven, and they did grow. It said to space them 1.5 inches apart or so, but they're a nice soft cookie at this point anyway, but I let them cool quite a bit before I dare take them off the parchment paper, because I'm sure they're too soft right now, they would break. But tray number 2 is going in the oven. I'll show you the finished product when I finish baking here, but I didn't count. I have them all cut out, but I probably am getting up close to 30 of them, even though they're only 1/4 of an inch thick. They do rise quite a bit and spread out. They're very large cookies. Well, I am surprised. I got 28 cookies, even though they're this large. That cookie cutter, biscuit cutter thing that I was using has two sides. You can either do straight or sort of a fluted thing. I did some of them with the sort of the fluted thing, but these rise so much in the oven that it almost eliminates that. Well, making a mug of tea, and I'll meet you in the living room with Angel, and we'll try one of these. I think somebody's very interested in the molasses cookie. You want to try it first? I think that indicates that at least it's Angel approved. He's a very special dog. I set the camera up here in front of this love seat and went back out in the kitchen, was doing some things. She said, "I know what this means, Dad." She came over and sat on the love seat waiting for the treats. But this cookie was on the end table here. She never touched it. She wouldn't think of it. If I didn't offer it to her, she wouldn't think of trying it. Well, I guess I better try it. They are very soft. A lovely spice and molasses flavor to them, but with all that spice added, it still isn't a strong spice. It's just a nice balance. And the nice flavor of the butter in the background there too. Well, this has been an incredible week. Last Saturday night it started to snow. We had a decent-sized snowstorm out of it, nothing unusual for this area. Then it changed about 2 hours to ice pellets. It was just like hail tapping on the window for about 2 hours. We got another 3 or 4 inches of that. It got milder. We had some freezing rain, an hour or so, but then it got really mild and turned to rain, so that wasn't an issue. The freezing rain that had accumulated on the trees and the wires and whatever all melted. However, they plowed the roads, and the man who plows my driveway came and did my driveway for me just as soon as the snow had stopped. Excellent timing there. But it left behind, of course, a few inches of slush, and the roads all had slush on them, and we went into a snap freeze, a really quick dropping of the temperature. By the next morning it was minus 15 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in old money, as they say, but it's cold. Schools throughout the province were closed for 2 days. Some of the major highways, and I mean divided 4-lane highways, were closed for 2 days except to emergency vehicles. It is now Thursday. Schools once again are closed. They got the schools opened up yesterday for 1 day. We're now going to get heavy rain. And some areas are going to get freezing rain. I don't think we will here on the coast. And the concern is, of course, it will wash whatever sand was put on the roads. And the ice that's on the roads has been beaten down. It's very hard to remove. It is milder, so they will probably get it off the roads eventually, especially with this mild weather and the rain coming. But once again, the schools are closed. This is Thursday. It's been closed 3 of the 4 days this week, and the highways still are not really safe to be traveled on. Crazy winter. I did not do one of my in the cabin videos because I knew how serious that storm was going to be, and I did not want to be out in the cabin in case we did get the freezing rain that was predicted and whatever. It would be quite dangerous out there with the trees all around. So no cabin video for that one. I'm about to have some of my tea, and I'm asked several times when I drink tea, what kind of tea do I use? Well, I use a lot of different kinds of teas. Twinings is my favorite for herbal teas, and decaffeinated tea, like English breakfast tea, a decaffeinated version of it, whatever. But when I'm having what I call high test, regular tea, which is what this is, I prefer an Atlantic Canada brand of tea called King Cole. I say Atlantic Canada. We have 4 provinces that make up Atlantic Canada: Newfoundland, Prince Edward Island, Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick. If you take Newfoundland out of the equation, it becomes Maritime Canada, the Maritimes. And I'm not really certain if this tea is available in Newfoundland or not, but I almost think it is. It's available throughout the Maritimes, and it's the most popular tea in the Maritimes. King Cole is put up by Barber's Brothers, I think the company is called, in St. John, New Brunswick, and has been put up there for probably 100 years or more. There's lots of stories about Maritimers that move to Western Canada for work and whatever, but they still have their families ship King Cole tea to them. So that's how popular it is. It's definitely the tea of choice here. Well, I hope you'll give this little recipe of all the fancy names that it has, molasses cookies, soft molasses cookies. They're very good. I hope you'll give it a try, and thank you very much for watching. Angel and I will finish that cookie now. Another piece, Pup.